Hello everyone, this is Andrew from Crown Academy of English, and today we are going to do a lesson on working at the office. So I'm going to teach you lots of words, lots of vocabulary about working at the office. Let's get started. So the first word is the word for desk. So that a desk is where you work. So you work at a desk, and this is where you put your documents. And this desk, as you can see, is made of wood, and on the right there are two drawers, so you can see them here. This is the top drawer and this is the bottom drawer. Okay, and you can see on the front of the drawer there is a handle, so the handle is for opening the drawer. And on a desk you can put a desk lamp. So this is a lamp for the desk, so we call it a desk lamp. Okay, and you can see here inside the lamp, this is the bulb, the light bulb, and here is the wire. Also in an office, at a desk, we need a chair. So this is a black chair made out of leather, and on the sides of the chair there are two armrests. So this is the right armrest and here is the left armrest, and so the armrests are where we can put our arms. They are on both sides of the chair. And when we are at our desk, when we are in the office, we often work with a laptop computer. So this is a laptop computer, and this part of the computer is the screen. So on the screen, this is where we can see our documents, our files. And this is the keyboard. So on the keyboard there are keys, and we use the keyboard to type. So we can use the keyboard to type a letter or to write a message. And the English keyboard, we sometimes call it a QWERTY keyboard, and we call it a QWERTY keyboard because the top row of keys, the letters are Q, W, E, R, T, Y. So that spells QWERTY. So if you hear somebody say a QWERTY keyboard, they mean an English keyboard. And this computer device in English, we call it a mouse. Yes, it's the same word as the little animal, and the reason is because it looks a little bit like a mouse with the ears here, I suppose. So we call this a mouse. And here is the left button, the left mouse button. So we call this the left button. And here is the right button. And in the middle, this is called the mouse wheel. So we use the mouse wheel to scroll up the page and to scroll down the page. And here is the wire. So the wire goes from the mouse and connects into the computer. Okay. If the mouse does not have a wire, we say it is wireless. So wireless. And a sentence, something we can say with the mouse, we would say, I double click on the icon. So for example, if we wanted to run Microsoft Word, we would say, I am double clicking on the Word icon. And if we want to say to somebody to click using the left button, we would say, if we wanted to say click using the right button, we say right click. So if somebody asks you to right click, they mean to press this button with your right finger. And we can also say left click. So to left click means to click on the left button. And something else that we need with a computer, when we need to produce a document, we use a printer. So this is called a printer. And in the printer, we load the printer with paper. Okay. So this is the paper. We put the sheets of paper in the back of this printer, and then when they are printed, the paper comes out here, and this is called the paper tray. Okay, this is the paper tray. So if your manager has a printer which can print in red, yellow, green, blue, we can say that my manager has a color printer. Okay. Now color, this word here, color, C-O-L-O-U-R, that is British English. Okay. American English is different, and color is spelt C-O-L-O-R in American English. So that is a big difference. And if my printer is not a color printer, I can say I have a black and white printer, because it can only print in black or white. Inside the printer, there are ink cartridges. Okay, so the ink cartridges are where the ink is stored, and on a color printer there would be 3 different coloured ink cartridges. So, a sentence we can use, we can say, my printer has run out of ink. Now this is an expression. To run out of something. So these 3 words, run out of, this means there is no more ink. Okay, so we can use this expression, run out of. We can use this, for example, to say, I have run out of milk, or I have run out of water, or I have run out of soap. So run out of means the ink is finished, there is no more ink. So my printer has run out of ink. So we can say, I must change the ink cartridges, which means we must change these cartridges and put them into the printer. So this is a telephone. So everybody has a telephone on their desk in the office. And this part of the telephone, this long piece here, this is called the handset. So when your telephone rings, when you receive a call, you pick up the handset. When you answer the phone, you pick up the handset. And so when you receive a call, your telephone rings. So we can say, my telephone is ringing. And when you want to use your telephone to contact somebody, to speak to somebody, you can say that you call somebody. So we can say, for example, this morning I called a supplier. This means that you picked up your handset and you dialed a number and you called a supplier, or you called a customer, or you called your parents. Okay? We can also say, I made a call. This morning I made a call. And here we have a different type of telephone. And this one is called a mobile phone. So this is a mobile phone. And again, this is the British English word. In British English we say mobile phone. And in American English, Americans say cell phone. So if you hear the word cell phone, then that is American English. Okay. Now this is called a stapler. A stapler. And a stapler uses staples. So a stapler contains staples. We put staples inside the stapler. And if we want to remove staples from a sheet of paper, we use a staple remover. So we use a staple remover to take out or to remove the staples from a piece of paper. This is called a calculator. So we use a calculator to do some calculations, to do some additions, and to work out sums. Okay. Something else we see in an office is a calendar. Now this is a desk calendar because it is small enough to go on the desk. So this one is a 2013 calendar and it is showing the month of January. And this is called either an agenda, or we can call it a personal organizer, or sometimes we call it a diary. Okay. I think the most common word for it would be diary or personal organizer. Agenda is less often, is less common. We don't often call it an agenda. We usually call it a diary or a personal organizer. And here on top of the diary, here is a pen. So we use a pen for writing inside the diary. Here we can see lots of files. So we use files to store documents and pieces of paper. Okay. So here there is a yellow file, a red file, a white file, a blue file. And we put files in in a filing cabinet. So we put the files in the filing cabinet. We store the files in a filing cabinet. And here we can see them here. Here there are 3 black files in the filing cabinet. These little plastic things are called paper clips. Paper clips. And here is a yellow paper clip. Here is a green one, a red one, a white one. And we use paper clips to attach pieces of paper together, to group pieces of paper together. Now here on this photograph we can see several sheets of paper, of white paper. Here is a pen. Here are some yellow post-its. We call these post-its. And at the top, this big black plastic thing is called a bulldog clip. And bulldog, yes, that is the same as the breed of dog, of animal. I'm not quite sure, I'm not sure why we call it a bulldog clip, but that is the name. So here is a larger photograph. So at the top here, this is called a bulldog clip. Now here on this photograph there are three things. The first one is here, it is a pencil. So we use a pencil for writing and for drawing. And when the pencil has been used a lot, the pencil becomes blunt. And so we need to use a pencil sharpener. So we use this to sharpen the pencil. So if the pencil is blunt, we use this to sharpen the pencil. And here at the bottom is a ruler, and we use a ruler to measure distance. So here we can see there are centimeters on the ruler. So 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters. And this is a photograph of the top of a pencil. You can see this is the pencil, and this is the top of the pencil. And this white part is called an eraser. Okay, an eraser. Now, an eraser is used to correct mistakes. So if we wanted to delete a word or to remove a word, we use an eraser. And here, this is called sellotape. Okay. Now, sellotape, we call it sellotape. Sellotape is in fact a brand name. It is a brand name for this. Okay, because in England or in Britain, this is the best-selling type of sticky tape. So the general word for this object is sticky tape, but in England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland, in Great Britain, we actually call it sellotape, okay, because that is the most famous brand of this product. And the black plastic part is called the dispenser. Okay, so this item is called a stamp, or sometimes we call it a rubber stamp, and we use it for printing words on a document, like guarantee or fragile or export, something like that. And this is called a hole punch. So a hole punch is used for making holes in a piece of paper, which we then put in a file. So we put the paper here, and then we press down on the hole punch, and that makes a hole here and a hole here, and then we can put the paper inside a file. And this is called a waste paper bin. Okay, bin is the word that we use for putting rubbish in, and it's waste paper. We say it's waste paper because it's paper that we want to throw away, that we no longer need. So we say this is a waste paper bin. Now, if I print, for example, if I print a Word document, if I print a document on my computer and printer, but then I need 10 copies of that document, then I would use the photocopier. So a photocopier is used for making copies of a document. Okay. Now this is a photograph of a meeting room. So a meeting room is a room in which there is a table and several chairs around the table, and it is a place where people come together to hold a meeting. We say to hold a meeting. Okay? We don't say do a meeting, we say we hold a meeting. So here is a meeting with 4 people. And in the meeting room, here we can see at the back of the meeting room there is a flip chart, and this is used for writing words on, or for drawing things. And here we can see that the person at the front, he is giving a presentation. Okay, a presentation. So a presentation is like a speech, or maybe a training course. It's very often some sort of a speech or an explanation of something, training. And to display, to be able to display things on the screen, we use a projector. So we use a projector to display text and pictures on the screen. So here we can see a businessman. So listen carefully to the pronunciation. We say businessman. Okay? And he is wearing a black tie. And he is holding a briefcase. So this type of bag, we call it a briefcase. And we also have a businesswoman. So this is a businesswoman, and she is wearing like a blue jacket, a white blouse, and she's also wearing glasses. These are called glasses. And here we can see there are 2 businessmen, and they are shaking hands. So the verb to shake hands. So they are both shaking hands. And here, on the right hand side, this person is giving a business card to the other person. So a business card is a small white card which contains information like your name, your job title, your company name, the company address, your telephone number, your email address, your website. So it's information about how to contact you. So you could say to somebody, do you have a business card? Or you could say, let's exchange business cards. Okay? So that is the end of the lesson. So I think there we've learned a lot of new words today. Lots of words of things that you will find very often in an office, and words that you need to learn, words that you will definitely be using. So if you haven't already, then please subscribe to my channel, and that way you will be notified of all my new lessons. And if you like the lesson, then please go ahead and click on the like button. And if you have any questions or comments, then please feel free to write a comment below the description below. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching and for listening. My name is Andrew from Crown Academy of English. Bye bye, and I'll see you next time.